Welcome, Lee Charles, to Walmart TV. We're so pleased that you're here at Doncaster, the UK Martial Arts Show 2024. It's a pleasure and honour to actually interview you. So let's get into it. How did you actually get into martial arts in the first place, Lee?
There's only one person that gets anyone into martial arts at my age, and that was Bruce Lee. My mum and dad introduced me to Bruce Lee as a child. What's the Big Boss? And I just become completely obsessed with him. Just wanted to be him. Wanted to be Bruce Lee as much as I could. And having an opportunity they put me into karate. Back when I used to train, there wasn't any opportunity to really do kung fu. It was mainly in Chinatown and Liverpool, and it was sort of the invitation only sort of era. So I started off with Shotokan Karate, and did that for many years. And a friend of my dad, Master Brian McKinney, opened a Wushu school. So when I was about 14, I think I made the transition over to Wushu, and that was it. So I just, I can't emphasize enough how much of an impact that guy had on me. Even to.
What do you think? What do you think was the epitome of Bruce Lee in your taking it back now and looking where you've been? What do you think was the epitome of Bruce Lee?
I don't know, because it was just he just had this. He was just so unique, so charismatic. His ability and for me, I don't know. I think I found something in him that I could find in myself. And it was sort of like, seeing this Chinese guy on my screen just doing what he was able to do was, it was insane. And I was being so little. I remember I wanted to be educated like him. I literally did everything I could. I was buying books, I was training as much as I could. I was watching videos as much as I could, buying the magazines. And I just think, and his whole persona the more I grew to understand who he was and what he did. And he wasn't just this guy on the screen, and his whole background and his philosophy, I just thought, I just want to be like that. I just want to have sort of that life and that inspiration. And, I think without him being introduced into my life, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Fantastic. Talking about getting into it where you are today, how did you do the transition from martial arts into movies? Was it a slow transition, or was it fairly quick, or what would you say was how did it happen? How did it happen overnight, or what happened?
So obviously, everyone always says to me, you're so lucky to do what you do. And I'm like, yeah, and thousands of hours in the gym. There was hours of reading books and the dedication that I put myself through. But to get there, in about 2005, I went to LA on holiday. And when I was there, I wanted to go and visit Benny the Jet's gym. So that was my thing. I just wanted a picture next to his logo, hold his bag, and a little smile and stuff. And when I got there, I spoke with Cody, the guy on reception. They gave me some gear because I left my stuff back at the hotel. I was literally phoning them every 2 minutes. And I left my stuff at the hotel because I thought, I don't want to go there and be that guy that just turns up with the bag and expects to train. So I thought, I want to go, introduce myself, and do it right. So I went, and they gave me the stuff, and I went back and started training. And then a woman come and knocked on the window, and I opened it, and it was Benny's wife, Sensei Sarah. And she started speaking to me, and it felt like sort of like an interview. It was weird. I thought, oh, these questions are strange. And she was like, oh, you're really good, you can move, and your kicks. And she went away. And I thought, well, that was Benny Urquidez's wife, Benny the Jet's wife. And then she come back and knocked on the window again, and then she's like, Sensei Benny's on his way back. He wants to see you. You've come all the way from Liverpool. And I was like, wow, okay. And he come back, and then I remember waiting at the front of the gym, and he come in, and I honestly, I think we sat for about 2.5 hours and just talked. And well, he talked and I listened. And then at the end of it, he said to me, what are you doing whilst you're here? And I was like, I've got a few training things to do. I said, but other than that, I just want to come and train here, and I want to do as much as I can and be a sponge. And he told Cody to write an address down, and then he gave me this piece of paper, And he said, be there at 9 o'clock in the morning. So I was like, okay, sensei, no problem. So the girlfriend I was at the time, we go out, and she's like, where are you going? I was like, I don't know. And she's like, well, why didn't you ask? And I was like, because if Benny Urquidez wants me to be somewhere at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, I'm going to be there. I was like, this is an opportunity you can't turn down. And when I got there, it was Lee Strasberg. So I was at the Lee Strasberg on Santa Monica and Fairfax. And Benny kindly took me under his wing, trained me in stunts and acting, showed me how to move and do fight choreography. And then as I come to the end of my trip, when I was in LA, we trained and we done numerous things together. And he said to me, he said, you know, you're now part of my team. You know, I used to be my ambassador for the UK and Europe, and you're part of my team. And I thought, well, that's a nice gesture, you know, to finish it off and let me not go away, deflated for the fact that I'm leaving. And sure enough, I come home, and within 3 weeks, he phoned me at home and said, can you get some time off work? I want you to work on a movie and help me train John Cusack. So that was it. So one of my heroes who I'd watched in Jackie Chan films and stuff, just saw something in me and give me that opportunity to introduce me to this whole new world.
Can you remember what film you were working with John Cusack?
Yeah, it was 1408. So I was training. So I was coming on. I was training on 1408. So Johnny used to do a lot of training with Sensei, but I think he was kickboxing. He was actually passed over from Don. It was Don that passed him to Benny, because Don was going into his film world. So
once you've done that, what was your progression then? What do you feel as though was your next big leap into the movie world?
I continued to fight. So I continued to compete and fight all over the world. And I think I was torn between the two worlds in terms of what I wanted to do. And then I retired. I retired from it, and I remember it was probably around 2009, 2010. And a friend of mine, Joey, got in touch with me. He's like, we were doing Green Street 3 with Scott Atkins. I'd done a couple of low budget things before that. He's like, you know, I want you to have a fight with Scott as one of the hooligans, if you like. I got well stitched up on that. They didn't tell me what team I was playing for, and then when I come up, they put me as Man United. I'm an avid Liverpool supporter, so I got well stitched up. And I went down and I worked with Scott, and at the end of it was towards the end of the shoot when we were filming, and me and Scott did our bit. I took a full kick to the head, a head stamp on concrete, and Scott was like, you know, I want to work with you again. I actually did a couple of other scenes. He said, I'll just keep Lee, just balaclava him up, and we'll use him. And he kept me, and then Scott said to me at the end, he goes, we're definitely going to work together again. I promise you we're going to go work together. You know, you're really good. And it's, you know, he was like, you know, guys like you help me look, you know, as good as I am, because, you know, you sort of, and I was like, thanks, you know, meant a lot. And I met a couple of producers and a director, and then it just started snowballing.
Right.
I think having that work ethic and being in there, and I think for me, like every job I go on to, I'm always thankful. You know, I always think, how am I here? You know,
we're going to come to some of them. I've been asked to actually ask you certain questions, but which was your favourite so far that you've done, which you enjoyed and you felt that lifted you higher in your profile?
Just two. I think Final Score with Dave Bautista. Having that one-on fight with Dave in a lift, because that sets up the tone of the film. And having that opportunity to perform with him in such a confined space was phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's a great human being.
Yeah.
You know, and there was a couple with Scott, but I think the main one was Gangs of London. So as soon as Gangs of London come out, I remember being on that with Gareth, and it's funny because my dad, who's here today, that was the first martial art film we watched again after so many years of like growing up when I was a kid watching films. I remember The Raid coming out, and I bought it on DVD, and I was like, there's this new film, and it's meant to be a genre change for the martial arts. And we watched it. So when I got the role for Gangs of London, and having the opportunity to work with Gareth and Matt and Jude Boyer, who'd worked with before, I think I knew when we were filming it was going to be something special. It was the hardest job I've done in terms of the work that we put in and having to do everything. but everything was calculated. Every scene was, shot before it, so he knew exactly how he wanted it to look. And then the response that I had when that come out was, it was in the middle of COVID, so I was going shopping, and there was people like circling me, and I was there, like looking at me, and because it had been out like that week, and I remember this. I was speaking to a friend of mine, and this guy just kept circling, and she was like, "Guy's circling," and I was like, "I know," and she was like, "Why is he circling?" I was like, "I don't know," and he kept going past, and then he stopped his trolley, and he just looked over his shoulder, and he went, "It is, isn't it?" And I went, "It is what?" And he went, "Gangs of London." I went, "Yeah," and he went, "Oh, good job." So it was like, it was that moment. I mean, my social media exploded, and obviously that fight team got nominated for an Emmy and stuff. And I think it was just, I don't think TV had seen anything like that. So it was sort of like, it just stuck in everyone's memory.
You talked about Jude. Can you tell us about how you got involved with Jude? Because I've known Jude when he used to work in Hong Kong movies years ago.
Yeah.
And so we've got a good relationship, and I've got a lot of time for Jude. So can you tell us, because he was the fight choreographer for him?
Yeah, I mean, he was the fight choreographer for that, and he was the fight choreographer for Final Score.
Yeah.
Jude is phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's a phenomenal talent. The way he thinks, his vision, obviously he's got that credibility of being a stuntman in Hong Kong, which is, so high up. That's for me, that it's like, growing up and watching the likes of Jackie Chan and stuff, and him being around them, and Yun Biao, and Samo and Donnie, and he knows what he wants to do. He knows his vision. He knows how it wants to go. And I met him. I can't remember what film it was that I originally met him on. I think it might have been North v South, and I beat him up. I think we did additional photography for North and South, and I beat him up with a baseball bat. And I think that was the first time we were together. And then obviously it was him that said to Gareth for me to sort of go in front of Gareth and audition for gangs. So he sort of paved the way and opened the door for that. But yeah, what a talent! He's just escalated and gone bigger and bigger and bigger with everything that he's doing.
You've worked on a film in Malta. On your Facebook page, you were absolutely over the moon when you went. Can you tell us a little bit about it, please?
Yeah, Hounds of War with Frank Grillo, great guy, love Frank. So I was a massive fan before I went out there, so it was a proper fanboy moment, and we've become really good friends. And getting to work with Isaac, Isaac. I think he's another one that sort of changed that genre and introduced Boyka to the world. And if his martial art films, I always think you watch him and he's just brilliant. And he's a martial artist himself, fantastic martial artist, and again another wonderful human being. Yeah, but hopefully it's out this year. There's been a lot of things going, but getting that opportunity to. The funny thing about that movie is I got a phone call from the producer, and I spoke to him. And he started speaking to me, and you know what, I have a tendency to do this, like not listen properly. And he was like, I heard, you're going to fight Frank, and I was like, and it's over in Malta, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I was like, no problem, I'll do it. So, excuse me, in my head, I'm going to Malta, and I'm doing this fight with Frank. So I was on the train on the way up to Glasgow to film on Backel. I was on Backel at the time, and the tickets come through for the flight from Malta, and I looked and I was like, wow, why am I there for 6 weeks? I was thinking I've only got one thing. And they'd sent me the script, and obviously me being me, I was thought, I'm only doing a fight, so I don't need to look at the script. I'll read a little bit about my character when it comes to the time, know where they want me to be in terms of how they want me to perform for the character. But I never actually read through the script, because I thought, I'm just having this fight, in this club with Frank, as you like, and I thought, I'll give it a read. And as I started reading, I was like, oh, okay, there's my character. And there's my character again. And there's my character again. And I was like, and there I am again. And then it just escalated into this big character. And going over there, you got Mike Moller's on it, Eski's on it, myself. Then you got Robert Patrick, Ronan Mitra, and the action from the guys that were over there. They were all Mike's team. It's just. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it coming out. David, the stunt coordinator, it was just it was really fun, and it was also surreal. It was a surreal moment for me to have that opportunity to sort of play I don't know. I'm a good guy. I end up being a good guy. So yeah. So it was nice to play that role, and it'll be nice for my son to actually see me winning a fight on screen for once.
We know that there's certain films and things you can't talk
Yeah.
about, so we're not going to. So that's fine. But what I'd like to do is express what it's like, firstly, in a fight sequence. I've spoke to Scott sometimes, and he says it's really hard. And people seem to think that the action is, it's all easy.
Yeah.
But he says you can come away and you're in bruised and pain
Yeah.
and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
How do you, come through it? How do you psych yourself up to doing something and knowing that you're putting your best into it?
Yeah, like I said before, I mean, for me, I'm dead humble to be there. And it's like, I used to be a fighter, and I still go up at 4 o'clock every day. I still go train at 5 a.m. Train for 2.5 hours doing all my martial arts and my boxing and stuff, and then I do my fitness and cardio and weight training later on in the day. But yeah, I didn't expect it to be as hard as it was. I think when I was on Gangs of London, we filmed that fight scene for 7 days on like 12, 14-hour shoots. You're constantly angry. You're constantly in that zone playing this like horrific character. So I wasn't speaking to anyone. I was staying angry all the time. I had migraines. Then because of obviously the costume that I wear, which was no costume, it was just a pair of underpants and wellies. So when you see me getting slammed to the floor, you see me getting kicked, you see me getting hit, that's just me. But for me, I go home every night and I'd feel like broken. And I'd just be like, job. This is, for me, like I said before, for me, it was like I wanted to be as close to Bruce Lee that I could possibly be, and conquered the world in my fighting and the stuff that I did. And I'm fortunate enough to be able to do this on the big screen in Hollywood, and get to work with some incredible people, and I think that just gets you through. I'm in my later stage of my life. I'm 50 next year, and I think to myself, I wouldn't want to be doing anything else. I'm fortunate enough to be able to do what I do. I'm fortunate enough to be able to do it with some of the biggest stars in the world. Some of the biggest martial arts stars. Scott is probably for me the biggest, martial arts star. I've done six fights with Scott. I know.
Wow.
So, and there was a film I was on last. I got asked to fight him again last year, but unfortunately, I was on a big movie abroad, and I couldn't do it. But getting to seeing these people on the big screen and looking at them and idolizing them, and I'm a big film nerd. I'm a big geek. And getting to actually be with them and perform with them and to show your craft. I mean, I get that emotional when I go home. I do. I had a big director last year, huge director, like say some incredible things to me after a performance that I did. Incredible things, and I just went back to the hotel, and I think after the adrenaline settled and stuff, the emotion just hit me. I was like, geez, and I was like wiping the tears in my eyes. I was thinking, I'm just this little boy who grew up on this council estate with nothing.
Absolutely.
That has ended up
in this
position.
Let's just have a quick couple of questions, and then we'll let you go.
Yeah,
I know you're busy.
Yeah.
One, fighting Scott.
Yeah.
You fought him 6 times. You're saying now. How do you find it when you're in a different role to fight him a different way? How does that fight?
It depends what I'm doing. So obviously, we're quite fortunate enough because when I work with Scott, we usually have Tim Mann on board. Tim's a phenomenal choreographer again. So there seems to be a theme here that everyone I work with is, and it's not just me bigging everyone up. They are, to be around talented people all the time and to be to see these people do what they do. It just brings out the best in you. But changing roles, it depends what I'm doing. And like I said before, I'm big into films. I'm big into. I think the late 70s, early 80s, early 90s is a period of cinema that we'll never ever get again. In terms of the action world, it was so diverse. There was so much out there. There was so much for us to do. And I go and look So, if, like, I'll say to them, who do you want me to be? And it's like, okay, well, where's this guy from? I'll speak to the director, ask where, what's his background, where's he from? What's he thinking? And then I just go and watch certain individuals play certain characters, and you steal bits, because that's all acting is. You just pinch bits of different people, and go into it, and have that moment. And I think that's the best way to do. Is to find out. It's good to find out from the choreographer what he thinks, the director from what he thinks, and then sort of have your piece of the puzzle to put towards it. And that piece of the puzzle is usually pinched from other elements and performances that you've seen before.
Fantastic. Lee,
Yes.
before we wind it up, is there a role you'd love to play? What kind of film or genre would you absolutely adore that you haven't done already?
Do you know what? Like, obviously, I can't say what I've been doing over the last 12 months. But the last 12 months for me have been, like, mind-blowing. Like, completely mind-blowing. And, the audience watching this will know come November the 22nd. So, for those of you who are into your Googling, you'll be able to see. That was, for me, that was like insane. And then a couple of weeks ago, I got to work with probably one of the biggest stars in the world, which I was fortunate enough to do. So yeah, I mean, Bond villain. Who doesn't want to be a Bond villain? Bond villain. I like to. I worked on the Batman. I'd like to probably fight Batman a bit more. Maybe go there. He's my biggest thing. I think Star Wars. I think everyone would love to be in Star Wars.
Yeah. Well, today, Dinah Lee Inosanto, she's just got to hit the road because she's now an animation. She's been in Ahsoka, but she's now got her own Star Wars show.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
yeah.
Wow! Yeah.
And she's taken the time like you over the years, done a bit, done this, done that, and she's just made it today because it's of course you're filming on.
Yeah.
May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you.
Lee Charles, thank you very much for your time, and I hope we can meet you and maybe do some on screen sometime, set reports. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.